Oh, hello. Happy Bisexual Visibility Day. Let's start today off with the drama. As you all know, if you have ever been a part of book Twitter, if you've ever even logged onto Twitter and looked into the book world in the Twitter sphere, you know that book Twitter does not need me to start shit. Book Twitter is starting shit every moment of every day. Someone is starting some kind of shit on book Twitter. For once, I decided, what if I was the person to start shit? Like, I can start shit too, guys. I can do it. Like any book person would do, I logged on to Goodreads because I was like, you know what? I want to look at some people's Goodreads lists. I want to look at a list where it's like, here are some great books with bisexual main characters. What do I come across in someone's review of a book on one of these lists? But a trigger warning. And when I'm talking about a trigger warning, I'm not talking about a warning that's like, just so you know, before you read this book contains graphic violence. This book contains certain things that could be incredibly troubling to readers. I think those are valuable. What I'm talking about here is a book that is warning you ahead of time that this book might contain people who are different from you, just in case you wanted to shelter yourself from others in the world, just in case you wanted to pretend that people like that didn't exist. So I tweeted, please just kill me already before the internet book community gets to me alive. Here is what I read on Goodreads. A kind warning to my fellow readers. For those of you whose hard limits include threesomes or bisexuality, this book may not be for you, as it does suggest or conclude scenes that involve those themes. You know, it would be one thing if this warning was like, warning to fellow readers, this book contains graphic sex scenes. So if you're not interested in reading a book with explicit sex scenes, then avoid this book. Reasonable. In fact, a good thing to say, because not everyone wants to read that and not everyone should read that. But a warning for those of you whose hard limits include bisexuality. Excuse me, what? You think some of our whole existence is a hard limit? That is unacceptable, you guys. Today, for Bisexual Visibility Day, I wanted to give some recommendations, but in the process of seeking recommendations, I found somebody being like, your entire identity is nothing more than a fetish. Fuck off with that. Anyway, friends, let's forget about those people on Goodreads who want to categorize people like me into a trigger warning just in case you want to avoid us for the rest of your life. Guys, we're going to talk about some books that I'm actually reading to celebrate Bisexual Visibility Day today. Some of them I've already finished reading and some of them I am just starting, but all of these I've read like within the past week as a celebration. I'm going to review some of the ones that I've read. Some of them are awesome and I'm really excited about them. Some of them suck. But what more can I expect at this point?
Get you some nuts.
There was lots of memes.
Makes me wonder if I should take up lesbianism.
Chicago. You guys asked for it.
What's up, my fellow small business supporters? Savvy here. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome to my channel for the first time. Please don't forget to subscribe because every Monday and Friday at 11 a.m. Central, I put out new videos about books, writing, and my life as a small business owner, and every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central, I put out the AuthorTube sleepover live stream, so if you want to come to my pajama party, put on your pajamas, eat some snacks, do some writing with me, it's going to be a great time. Every Friday at 12:30 Central, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, I also stream with my friend RK Gold as we work on writing our novel together, co-authoring for the first time and preparing for NaNoWriMo, where we are writing a novel right in front of your very eyes. So if that's something that you're interested in watching, please don't forget to subscribe. Please don't forget to ring the notification bell. I want to be friends. Leave a comment, say hi, what's up. After some of my reading experiences, I have decided that society has progressed beyond the need for big five publishing houses. That's probably a controversial statement. A lot of people probably disagree with me on that. But particularly when it comes to bisexual representation, y'all, indie books just do it better. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry if that offends you. If you are like the CEO of Penguin Random House and you're watching me, don't get offended, just step up your game. Actually, don't. Make way for some small presses. A lot of small business owners like myself are just trying to survive out here. You don't have to dominate the industry all the time. So I'm going to be reviewing some books that are both from Big Five traditional publishers and that are indie books, self-published books, small press books, all kinds of books. So today I'm going to be breaking up this video into ebooks and physical books because I'm reading some of both. The physical books I'm going to show you here on the screen, and the ebooks I will pop up in the corner while I talk about them. But for those of you who don't know, I do have a book rating system. It has 10 points available. Then I divide that by 2 to come up with my star rating out of 5. So for the ones I've already read, I'm going to kind of go through that system with you guys to determine my review. And for the ones that I haven't read yet, I will read you guys like a little synopsis and we will talk about what's going to happen. So the first book that I read was Teenage Rewrite. And I liked this book. I didn't love it, but I liked it. So I am going to talk a little bit about the different elements of this book, what I liked and what I didn't like. But I will say this is, I can't remember if it's a self-published or a small press book, but it is not a Big Five book. It is a small business type of book in some way, and it gets the bi representation really, really well. And y'all, like, that's, it was just like confirming my theory that that smaller presses do it better, because this book did it really well. That element of the book was fully fleshed out and was like spot on, whereas all the other books I was reading around it were making me really, really angry. Like, why is no one ever trigger warning me for all the bisexual erasure I'm going to have to read on my yearly quest to find some decent representation in this world? Why don't I get warned for that? Huh? Anyway, let's talk about this book. So Teenage Rewrite, I ended up giving 3 out of 5 stars, and I'm going to break down why that is. So for those of you who don't know, I will flash my book reviewing system right up here on the screen. There are 3 sections. There's the book itself, which normally the book itself is for a physical book because as a small business owner who produces books, you know, the binding, the paper quality, the printing, the cover, all of that does matter to me because it matters that my customers are satisfied with that. But when it comes to ebooks, I adjust these things a little bit. So I adjust the system a little bit for every book. So this one is adjusted a little bit for an ebook. Then it's kind of like the campaign around it, how I felt treated as a customer. And finally, the biggest category, obviously, the content of the story itself. So for this book, for the book itself, for the interior and the formatting. So for formatting, I gave it a point. The formatting looks good. For the interior, I gave it a point as well because it had really fun, really quirky and cute chapter headings. And for the cover, I gave it a 0. I gave it no points. That cover is disgusting. Look at that cover. Do you like that cover? No, I do not like that cover. I was very uncomfortable reading that cover. In fact, I was glad it was an ebook so that I wouldn't have to open and close and see that cover constantly. 0 points for the cover. However, the book itself was pretty good. So let's do a little recap into what the book is about. Every year, millions of teenagers graduate from high school, embrace adulthood, and go on to lead happy, productive lives. That's great and all, but Justin Davis thinks this is a complete load. Withdrawn and perpetually anxious, Justin begins senior year completely overwhelmed by thoughts of life after high school. Up until now, he's been able to coast through life without any complications. He's managed to pass all his classes, he has just enough friends to not eat alone at lunch, and quite frankly, he's come to accept these things as they are. Dismal. But after 17 years of coasting, Justin meets 2 guys determined to ruin everything. With constant meddling from his nosy new friend Travis, Justin finally has to learn to own his bisexuality, connect with friends he didn't know he had, and even get closer to his crush, Evan, a shy yet equally meddlesome junior. In this YA coming-of-age novel, follow one boy's struggle to embrace life's complications and realize that ignoring life is much more difficult than living it, especially when best friends don't leave you any other choice. As far as a young adult contemporary coming-of-age book, this was pretty cute. Like, I felt like I was reading a kid's diary. Like, it felt very, like, not quite stream of consciousness, but just the voice was very authentic. It just felt like I'd opened up some kid's journal and was reading it. Maybe this was like a self-insert or something, I have no idea. But overall, I thought it was pretty cute. The cover was gross, though. So from my experience obtaining this book, I gave it both points for that because, you know, it was an easy download on Kindle, which that, you know, that says nothing about the author, but reviews aren't just about the author, they're about the complete book and the complete experience as a whole, at least in my opinion. And then on top of that, I found out about the book from an article that I was reading on an LGBT website listing it as a good book with bisexual representation, so I'm glad I found out about it there, and that was a good way to rope me into it, so it got the points for that. In terms of the content, I gave it 1 point for characters. I thought the characters were fun. 1 point out of 1. You know, each one of these things is 1 point. The character Travis in particular, who's very nosy and very talkative, he kind of reminded me of myself because I'm very nosy and talkative and I don't really have a filter. So I was like, yeah, we all need a friend like Travis. I need a friend like Travis. I'll be your friend, Travis. And that was pretty cool. In terms of originality, plot, and immersion, I gave it 0 for all 3 of those because it was like, the book was pretty ordinary. In terms of like the plot, it was just like a kid, it was coming of age, so it didn't have to be complex, but it just didn't keep me reading. I enjoyed it for what it was, but I wasn't like, oh my god, I must continue to read this. I was kind of waiting for it to be over after a little while because it kind of felt like everything was over and we were just continuing to be like, okay, where's he gonna go to college now? I really don't care. But for overall value, I gave it the point for that. And here is why. This book had so much value in terms of legitimately good bisexual representation because it addresses what we in this community refer to as the bicycle. Why do we refer to it that way? Because we all love lame puns. It just comes with the culture. Get it, used to it, or get out. For some of us, there's like a constant questioning that never ends because you'll just be like, oh my god, I'm in love with women. I only ever want to look at women for the rest of my life. Women are amazing. And then like 2 days later, you'll be like, oh my god, all these dudes are so hot. I just want to look at hot men all day. And like, it just fluctuates. And that's not true for everybody, but it's definitely true for me. So the book addressed that. In this book, it also had like the main character was pretty open. Like when he started dating his love interest, who's another guy, when he started dating him, the guy was like, so which gender do you think about the most? And he was like, honestly, girls. I like girls more, but like, I like you the best, so you don't need to get jealous. And you know what? His love interest didn't get jealous, and it was totally fine, because that's how it works, because it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. I've never seen a book address it like that before. Nice. I love that so much. Overall, though, with all of that together, that was 6 out of 10, or 3 out of 5 points. It was a good book. It had a lot of value in terms of that, and you know what? When it comes to representation, I just have to take what I can get at this point. Next, I read the book Date Me, Bryson Keller. I'm giving it 2 stars, but I'm not going to go through the whole rating for this because this book sucked. At first, I loved it because I was like, oh, this is such a quirky, fun rom-com. I don't know why someone put this on their Goodreads list of bisexual representation because the representation sucked ass in this book. Like, it was so bad. It was so bad I wanted to throw it at the fucking wall. And then I went on Goodreads and actually started reading reviews of it, and turns out this book was like half plagiarized from someone's manga, which is not okay. We do not condone plagiarism over here. So I was pretty mad about that, and I was like, what the fuck? Why did I just read this? So I gave it 2 stars because like I kind of enjoyed it at the beginning. But then, so there was this whole thing in it. It did that stupid ass thing where it was like, I thought that this is like, you know, it sets it up where the character's saying problematic and stupid shit, and you're like, that's okay because they're gonna learn from it. Well, this dude didn't learn from it. So it's like the one dude, I don't even need to go through the plot because it doesn't matter because this book sucked. But there was, the one dude is talking to, he's a gay dude, and he's talking to his male love interest, and he's like, oh, all the guys I like are straight, and the other dude was like, well, how do you know that? And he's like, well, this dude I used to like is dating a girl now, and it's like, oh, he's gonna learn about how that's bi erasure, but he never actually learns that. Instead, the love interest that used to primarily date women was just like, well, I kind of like men now. Maybe I'm bi or maybe not. Who knows? And that was literally it. And I was like, fuck off with that. And that was a traditionally published book in a Big 5 publisher. I forget which one. Actually, let me look it up. Let me look up which one it was so that we can put them on blast. Putting big businesses on blast every day. It's so fun to fuck over big corporations. Penguin Random House, y'all. Penguin Random House sucks. Penguin Random House has terrible bi representation. Spread the word far and wide. Buy from small presses. Buy from indie authors. Let's move on. The next book I read was Boyfriends with Girlfriends by Alex Sanchez. And you know what? I really like this author because I used to read his books when I was in middle school, so that was like 2005. So I was reading his books for a while, and I think he's a good writer. This book also gets a 3 out of 5. Let's talk about it. And wouldn't you know, it's published by Simon & Schuster. Another Big 5 publisher book that disappointed me. Couldn't be more likely than you think. Sergio is bisexual, but his only real relationship was with a girl. Lance has always known he was gay, but he's never had a real boyfriend. When the two of them meet, they have an instant connection, but will it be enough to overcome their differences? Allie's been in a relationship with a guy for at least 2 years, but when she meets Kimiko, she can't get her out of her mind. Does that mean she's gay or bi? Kimiko, falling hard for Allie, is willing to stick around and help Allie figure it out. That's the premise. This book is like in every point of view. Now, I don't have a problem with omniscient point of view when it's done well. For example, the book Two Boys Kissing by David Levithan did a great job of omniscient point of view, but this one was like head hopping within one sentence. I did not know who was talking half of the time, what was going on. This one also got a 3 out of 5. In terms of the book itself, the cover and formatting were well done, but I had to take a point away because there were typos in this. You know how all these people are like, you gotta get a professional editor. You gotta pursue professional publishing. Let's go query all of these big publishers, because one time I read a self-published book and it had a typo where it's used Y-O-U-R instead of Y-O-U''R-E. Well, guess what? This book was typos out the ass. There was just typos everywhere. Simon & Schuster, put them on blast. It's so much fun to fuck over big corporations. In terms of the content, like, I would say the suspension of disbelief was fine because, like, this book was realistic and whatever, and I was fairly immersed in that. I was like, all right, let's read more, let's see what happens. But characters were stupid and the plot was stupid. And the value was nothing. I left this book with no value, okay? Because Lance, let's talk about Lance. Lance is over here, you know, Lance is gay, good for Lance. Lance is a high energy dude. He seems like a lot of fun, except Lance is like, he's like the biggest like biphobic guy that exists. And while I will say one thing, disclaimer, I do appreciate that this book addressed that there is discrimination against identities within the LGBT community. Like, sometimes a person of one identity will erase another person's identity. Like, that happens all the time, and this book addressed that, because there's a lot of times, you know, like, in my life, I've been around, you know, gold star lesbians. Is that a thing we can still say? Basically women who are like, oh, you've been with a man, but men are the oppressor. And it's like, well, that is some bi-erasure right there. So, like, I know that and I see that happening, so I'm glad a book actually represented it. But, dude, this character, Lance, was just like, he was so much with it. He'd have friends and significant others and constantly people being like, okay, but I am bi, because, like, I like multiple genders. Like, I'm attracted to people regardless of gender. Like, you can't tell me that I'm not. And he's just like, no, you're either born gay or you're born straight. There's no other way about it. Like, there's no middle ground. I'm positive of this because as a gay person, I have only experienced things this way, and only the way I experience things counts. Like, he was just insufferable, dude. And I'm glad that he, like, learned about that, but, like, honestly, I don't think he learned enough. I think that he needed to have a bigger moment of feeling bad about that, because he was making his new love interest feel like shit constantly. Like, what a nasty dude. And the character Allie sucked, okay, dude? She sucked because she was fetishizing people based on their race. Like, this girl had an Asian fetish, and it was not cool. It was racist, dude. Like, when she first meets this girl that she likes, she's like, oh my god, she's Japanese. I need to go talk to her because she's Japanese. And then she goes up to her and she's like, hey, do you like anime? And then the other girl was basically like, yeah, I love anime. And then they, like, went to, like, an anime convention, and then they started, like, reading these gay mangas together, and then she was constantly just like, oh my god, I think it's so cool that you're Japanese. Will you write my name in Japanese letters? Like, this girl was just obsessed with the fact that her new girlfriend was Japanese, and, like, that was the only thing she cared about, and it was really gross. Like, it's kind of like that Goodreads review I read earlier where I was like, okay, a sexual orientation is not a fetish. Same thing with a race. A race is not a fetish either. Parts of people's identities are not a fetish. That's ridiculous. Don't do that. Ew. So anyway, I guess 3 out of 5. Maybe I should have given it less. There was a lot of nasty shit going on in that book. Next, I read the book The Christmas Steal by Kira Andrews, and let me tell you, this book was 1,000% self-published. This was indie from the ground up, and it was one of my favorite books I've ever read. This is just solidifying my belief that Big 5 traditional publishers just can't do it. This was like, okay, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but basically this was like a Hallmark Christmas movie. You know, like I watch lame Hallmark Christmas movies starting in November, but I decided to read a book version of one of those starting in September because it's Christmas all year for me. I'm that bitch. Oh my god, this book was so great, you guys. So it was like one of those Christmas romance movies where these two guys got set up together and they were fake dating for both of their benefits in different ways, and then they ended up falling in love for real. And it was cute as shit, and the Christmas stuff was so cute in it, and all the characters were really well developed. And also, like, the way, like, one of the characters thought he was straight previously, but, like, it wasn't like I thought I was straight and this man turned me. Like, that would have been ridiculous and offensive, and it wasn't like that. It was like this guy who was like, I thought I was straight because I only ever wanted to date women, but I'd always felt some attraction to some men. I'd always been willing to do something sexual with a man if the situation arose. So, like, it was always there. He just hadn't really addressed it before. And then he actually ends up falling in love with this guy, and the guy is, like, the guy who he falls in love with is gay and has only ever been with men, but he is like super respectful of the fact that this guy has always liked and always will like women as well. And I was like, you did it! You did it right. It wasn't that hard and you did it. Good work. The last ebook is one that I haven't yet read, and it is The Legend of Korra comics! Oh my god, you guys, so I am still finishing, as of right now, by the time this video goes up, I will probably be done with The Legend of Korra on, I'm watching the show right now. I am so close to the end of the show, and I am loving it so much, and I'm not going to give away spoilers, I guess. Maybe. Should I give away spoilers? I don't know, but the comics, I read the spoilers in advance because, honestly, I could not have dealt with Korra dating stupid-ass Mako. Can I rant real quick? Oh, of course I can rant. This is my channel. I can do whatever I want, because in real life, Tyler starts to get a little frustrated with me when I keep bringing up this topic, but the fact is it needs to be discussed. Because I am full of disgust. Mako from The Legend of Korra is useless. He is a useless straight boy. And I'm sorry for saying that. But no, I'm not sorry for saying that. It's the truth, okay? You've got him and Bolin, right? Bolin is like an adorable, perfect specimen of a human being. I just want to hug him all day. And Mako is just like, he's nothing. He's just bland. He does nothing. He says nothing. He's not even that attractive. So I do not understand how both Korra and Asami would date him. Korra and Asami, two fantastic, beautiful, powerful, attractive women, are going to both be willing to date this guy, and there will be conflict over the fact that he has dated both of them and will date. Like, what? What? And when I get mad about this, Tyler will just be like, Savvy, just like get over it. But it's not a matter of just my opinion. Like, it takes me out of the show. Whenever that happens, because I can't believe it. Like, I do not have that great of a suspension of disbelief. I can suspend my disbelief to believe in airbending and waterbending and firebending and all of that other stuff, but I cannot suspend my disbelief to legitimately believe that in real life, two women that amazing would both be interested in a man that unamazing, or that he's even, like, I couldn't feel it. I felt no chemistry. I felt no connection because he's just not worth it, dude. Like, I don't get it. It takes me out of the story. It makes me feel like I'm watching, like, Mako's fantasy that he wrote because these two girls wouldn't give him the time of day in real life, obviously. Anyway, the show finally gets its shit together by the end, and Korra is a bisexual icon, and I will be reading The Legend of Korra comics once I have completed the show. Alright, now that I've been fired up, on to, oh my god, my hair got fired up too, it's so frizzy, what just happened? On to some physical books. So I have 3 physical books that I'm going to be reading for Bisexual Visibility Day, and I will read you all I'll read you all the description of each one of these. Now, these 2 books, The Cyborg Tinkerer and Heart and Soul, you will see me go over again because these are both AuthorTuber books, and I'm going to be doing an AuthorTuber book haul next week, so if you want to see some books by AuthorTubers, you'll want to revisit this channel. Ring the bell like I asked. So, first up, the book Ramona Blue. I bought this book because a lot of people recommended it to me. Last year for Pride Month, I did a video called Worst to Best Books for Bisexual Representation, and I appreciate everyone. I asked if people could leave me some recommendations in the comments, and I got this book recommended a lot, so I decided to get it. Here's what it's about. Ramona was only 5 years old when Hurricane Katrina changed her life forever. Since then, it's been Ramona and her family against the world. Standing over 6 feet tall with unmistakable blue hair, Ramona is sure of three things. She likes girls, she's fiercely devoted to her family, and she's destined for something bigger than the trailer she calls home in Eulogy, Mississippi. But juggling multiple jobs, her flaky mom, and her well-meaning but ineffectual dad forces her to be the adult of the family. Now with her sister Hattie pregnant, responsibility weighs more heavily than ever. The return of her childhood friend Freddie brings a welcome distraction. Ramona's friendship with the former competitive swimmer picks up exactly where it left off, and soon he's talked her into joining him for laps at the pool. But as Ramona falls in love with swimming, her feelings for Freddie shift too, which is the last thing she expected. With her growing affection for Freddie making her question her sexual identity, Ramona begins to wonder if perhaps she likes girls and guys, or if this new attraction is just a fluke. Either way, Ramona will discover that for her, life and love are more fluid than they seem. Now, you guys, that sounds really excellent. So I'm hoping this turns out to be excellent. I'm a little skeptical because it is published by an imprint of HarperCollins. And you know that the big fives have been letting me down recently, so I'll review it when I'm done with it. Next, we've got The Cyborg Tinkerer by Meg Latore. I actually got this as an ARC. This book is available for pre-order on Amazon. I'll link it in the description below. Meg Latore is the wonderful author-tuber who runs the YouTube channel iWriterly. Here is what her book is about. In a deadly circus competition, even hearts are on the line. Gwendolyn Grimm intended to seduce men and women across the galaxy while working as a ship tinkerer on the finest vessels in the Crescent Star system. Alas, terminal illness is a buzzkill. When a life-saving opportunity struts into her life dressed in a pinstripe suit, she has made an offer she can't refuse: become a cyborg and work as a tinkerer for Cirque du Bourge, the once-renowned cyborg circus. Dude, that sounds so great, right? And also this cover is great, and also, like, I am ready to read some, like, hot girl steampunk. Let's make it happen. And then finally, I've got Heart and Soul by Erin Kinsella. Erin Kinsella is also an author-tuber that I really like. Beside herself with excitement, best-selling author Tessa Hale flies to the vibrant city of Seoul, South Korea, where she's meeting the cast and crew of the film adaptation of her book. The thrill shifts to starstruck panic when she discovers the actor cast as the lead is the idol she's been high-key crushing on for years. Dude, this is so great! Like, first of all, I know it's basic, but I love books about authors because I'm an author and I can relate. And also I love that there's going to be like a love story between her and an actor in her movie. Like, goals, oh my god. So we ended on a high note. Very nice. Let me know what you guys thought of all of these books in the comments below. Let me know if there's any particular books you're planning to read today. Let me know any recommendations you have. I am really excited to read the ones I have not yet read, and I am willing to try to put away my anger over the ones that made me upset. I will see you guys all again tonight at 9 p.m. Central, 10 Eastern for the AuthorTube sleepover, and I will see you, of course, on Friday morning at 11 a.m. Central in the live chat for my newest video premiere. But until then, don't forget to support small businesses. Happy reading, friends!
Get you some nuts.
There was lots of memes.
Makes me wonder if I should take up lesbianism.
Chicago. You guys asked for it.